All right, welcome to the Jeff Bruce. I'm Jeff Bruce. I'm super excited for today. I hope you are as well. Today we have Tim Schurrer, author of The Secret Society of Success, on the channel. So Tim is not only a new author, but he's also worked for companies like Apple, Tom's Shoes, Story Brand, and Business Made Simple. And at the end of this video, you'll hear what Tim is doing now, and it's actually a great resource for you and me. Here's my interview with Tim Schurrer, author of The Secret Society of Success. Well, Tim, thanks so much for being on the channel. And one of the things about the Secret Society of Success that I found, I think this is why it probably resonated with me so much, is the mission of our channel is helping people live the fullest possible life. And that's really kind of what I found in reading your book. I love personal development books. They can become addictive, and sometimes we don't necessarily take all the content and put it into practice. But I found what you were saying very practical, and I think probably very practical for most people today, with the spotlight mindset. And we'll talk about that a little bit as well. But would you mind just giving a kind of a brief overview of the book?
Yeah, so a lot of people are familiar with the story of Apollo 11. You've got Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin, one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. But what a lot of people don't know, there's a third astronaut on that mission, and his name was Michael Collins. So Michael Ubers Neil and Buzz to the moon. He drops them off so those guys can do all the various tasks they have to do on the moon's surface while he actually stays back in the command module. He doesn't actually get to walk on the moon, even though he made it all the way to the moon. He stays in the command module, orbits the moon something like 26 times until the other two guys are ready to be picked up so that he can, taxi everybody back to Earth. And what I love about this story is when Michael gets back, sits down with the press, he actually talks about how content he was to have had one of those three seats, which is such an opposite response or type of message that you would expect him to be saying in that moment, because there's a human part in all of us that would all be a little disappointed, like, dude, you made it all the way there and you didn't get to walk on the moon. But I think the question for all of us is, do you have to walk on the moon to be happy? Because Michael found his success, his contentment, playing a role on the team. And the book really is getting at the heart of this, which is, what is success really? Because the messages that we are being bombarded with is success is stepping into the spotlight, climbing the ladder, being the boss, or chasing whatever version of success that's been dangled in front of us in our lives and our careers. And for me, I've chased these things. I've chased the spotlight. I wanted to be the next John Mayer. That's a totally different story for another day, but I wanted to be famous. But I found that the contentment I was actually looking for in my life and my career came the further and further I stepped away from the spotlight. So when I hear these messages saying, success is this one path, there's a part of me that just gives that some pause, because I ask, is it though? Because that's just not really been my experience. And so the book is this exploration into what is success and what are some other ways that we can look at it. And so I've discovered this group of people I call the Secret Society of Success, who have shown me a new way to live and a new way to look at this thing we call success.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. And today it seems like, man, so many people are craving that spotlight, and spotlight mindset is what you call it in the book. And, and I think that's probably part of human nature, but the way the availability to try to do it today is just crazy. And the push to, just thinking of social media, of everybody having that opportunity to try to get in the spotlight. And so many people they're not looking for money either. It's just to get their face out there and to be heard, which I just think is amazing. And so I know at my job, we started to do some little things because I know people do need recognition, especially where it's deserved, not just for holding up a phone and saying something.
And so we started to do something you mentioned in the books, shout outs at each of our staff meetings. And me as a leader, trying to make sure I'm saying things to my staff and recognizing their accomplishments, which so often I know for me, I think them, but then my wife will say, "Well, did you tell her that? Did you tell him that?" I'm like, "No." She's like, "You need to tell them that so they know." What's your take on our culture and the desire for recognition that they have?
Is human. Like, we all want to know that we matter. But there's this thing I talk about in the book. The thing that is keeping us from the secret society is what I call the spotlight mindset, this unhealthy desire for attention and recognition. And the key word there is unhealthy. Because I actually think for us to, want to be recognized, there is a very human part of how we, show up. But I think that can lead, to a pretty gnarly path if we are demanding attention, demanding the recognition, demanding the credit for the work that we do. And so what I've found is the greatest thing that we can do is to recognize that every person has value, every role matters. So if you think about a concert, we need the person standing in the center of the stage for the whole thing to work. But we also need the person running sound, the backing guitarist. We need the ticket taker at the front entrance. We need the person running concessions. I don't have any problems with the spotlight. I have a problem with people saying or trying to pressure us into believing that the spotlight is the only role that matters, and that the spotlight is the only thing that any of us should be chasing, and that as the one and only definition of a successful life. I don't believe that. And so what I feel is important is to recognize that we all have a part to play, and what is most important for all of us to live a successful life is to define what success is for you, to play your role. To be willing to be a Michael Collins and to find your contentment in what it is that you do. And one of my favorite songs, one of my best friends is named Steve Moakler, and he has a song called Humble Operations. And the chorus says, "We all wake up in different situations with different callers for our occupations. Ever since the world's been in rotation, it's been run by humble operations." And this idea of there's these roles that a lot of people don't really value as much, that are maybe a little less in the spotlight. Someone running, someone working road construction doesn't get a lot of, somebody's not walking out of, college be like, you know what I can't wait to do? Road construction. These aren't the most esteemed positions, and yet it is remarkably important for how our cultures and our societies run, right? So what I hope that this book does, and what I hope that this conversation does for people, is offers validation for you to lean into the role that you play, regardless of where that role happens to, fit on the org chart or how much visibility you have in that role. Every role matters. Every person matters. And the greatest thing that we can do for one another is to appreciate and recognize the work that is being done, in an entire organization, or, even in a household, right? It's like
Right.
how we show up matters, and how we appreciate and recognize how each of us shows up matters.
Yeah, and I know for me, with the different love languages for me, and I don't know if it tends to be a male thing, but affirmation is at the top of the list. And those little words, man, they mean so much for sometimes things that, either we know or don't know that we're even doing. So I imagine, just like you're talking about, like at a concert, like recognizing the little people, so to speak, that we pass, and just giving them a word of, "Hey, thanks for doing that," just can totally make somebody's day, or life for that matter. So yeah, that's important. So what was your motivation for writing the book?
I think we write books that we need ourselves. And this might surprise people to hear, but I feel like I've wrestled with wanting the spotlight and climbing the ladder probably as much as anybody has. And I needed some tools to help me, because when I look at people that I've been most inspired by, they've not been people who have demanded the spotlight or really wanted that attention and recognition. They have kind of gone down another path. And so I see these different stories and meet these really humble, quote, successful people. And I just have wondered, how is it that they do what they do? And how can I get to where they're at, but chase that down in a very different way than this, me demanding everyone's attention, demanding that people notice me. And so I think that really was the heart of it. Is I think I, just like so many of us, are up against this struggle where we just are pressured to believe that this is what we have to do to win. And there's a part of me that when I'm trying to get recognition for the work that I do, when I'm trying to, get all the credit, there's something about it that just doesn't sit right. Mm. And so this book, I think, has helped me and try to then help other people as they read it navigate that tension. Because what do we do when we're never going to get the credit that we deserve for the work that we do? What do we do about that? Because that's the truth. And so I wrote the book that I needed myself. And, now there's other people who have responded ever since this book's come out, just talking about how helpful it's been for them too. And so I'm grateful for that. But I guess I'm pretty messed up is what I'm trying to say. And I need some help. So I tried to, curate some content and some stories that have really been helpful for me as I've navigated that mental journey of trying to, live a life that has some kind of impact and is helping other people.
So something else, lots of things resonated with me. One of those things too, and this kind of goes back to not just the musician days, but really lots of periods in my life, and I'm sure for you as well. But you identify symptoms of the spotlight mindset. And I don't want you to go through all of them, but are there a few that you kind of see as more prevalent than others? When somebody, because I think what the issue, and the reason why I say that is I think some people may be embracing the spotlight mindset and not even be aware of it. But these symptoms are kind of the result of kind of digging your heels in deep.
Yeah, if I say, do you struggle with this spotlight mindset, this unhealthy desire for attention and recognition? People are like, nah, I'm good.
Oh, no.
And then I say, have you ever struggled with comparison or wonder how your success stacks up against others? They're like, okay, maybe not really ready to admit it yet. And then you're like, have you ever struggled with striving? Just this kind of restless pursuit for more. No matter what you have, there's always another level that you have not achieved yet. And I think even just with a couple of those like that, I think we all realize, dang it, we're in this. And we don't even really realize that we're in it. So striving, comparison, for a lot of people, it's damaged relationships. Them pursuing this thing that they thought was success maybe had them spending more time away from their family. Like maybe they're crushing it at work, but their family life's kind of falling apart. The relationships with the people that matter most to them are suffering because of this other way that they've been living and trying to navigate this thing we call success. And so those are a few. There's several others, but I think what's so important for us is to learn to identify how the spotlight mindset shows up in our life so that we can choose another path. And there's this guy named Tom House. I heard him say, problem identification is half of the solution. Mm-hmm. We have to know what we're up against to know how to go about things a little bit differently. So that's really the goal in trying to call out these various symptoms, because I think for a lot of us, maybe we're dealing with this and don't really even realize it's a problem. Maybe we're feeling it, but until somebody puts language to those feelings, sometimes we don't know really how to do anything about it.
A bunch of those things hit me pretty hard when I was reading the book, and I'm I'm an introvert, never thought of myself. I guess if you say you don't think of yourself as an arrogant person, then maybe that's an indicator. But um, but I noticed we not long ago at work, we all took the Strengths Finder test. And I was
Yeah.
really surprised actually, is my top one was competitive. And I was like, who am I? I'm not competitive with anybody. And I realized my competition is with myself, kind of. And there's
Yeah. Yeah.
probably
Yeah.
some weird dark side to that, but I have I have this drive to always like outdo myself or do better. And so I want to kind of bring in this. It's not necessarily in the book, but I'm curious of your thoughts. I think there's something with me and with other Christians that might be listening as well to feel like, well, and actually I talked about this recently on one of the videos, but that Christians should be doing the highest quality work. And I talked about how that can be an act of worship actually to God. But there's also, I think, this part of me that's like, if I'm not doing this, I'm not pleasing God. I'm kind of curious if you have a take on that.
One thing when I was working at Apple, we used to say excellence is the price of admission. And I love that because I want to show up and do the best that we possibly can do. And there's a part of me that I feel like if I'm not doing that, I'm not stewarding the things that I've been given. One of my pet peeves is sloppy work. If you believe something can be better, you should make it better. And so I'm with you on the whole idea of chasing after excellence in all things. But another thing I'd say is, and some of the pushback that I've gotten with this book as I talk about, what if you can be Michael Collins? What if you don't have to be a Neil or a Buzz? A lot of people respond by saying, what about ambition? Are you saying then that ambition and doing things at the highest level is bad? And of course not, is the short answer. But if you also think about Michael Collins, I mean, for this guy to even have a seat on that mission meant he was incredibly talented. Best in class. One of the 3 people chosen to walk on the freaking moon. He just didn't walk on the moon. He didn't define his success as that one thing.
Mm-hmm.
So what I think about when I'm trying to answer this question around, can we chase after big dreams and big ideas and doing things the best that we possibly can? I think about how we should, and the caution I would have is check your intentions behind why you're doing anything. Because why does it need to be excellent? Why does it need to be better than everybody else's? Does your company need to be the biggest because of dysfunction and you trying to, define your own success by how you compare stacked up against your neighbor's company? Is it about the competition in that, or is it because you actually want to build this big company because you believe in the mission of helping as many people as possible with that larger company, and the larger company is going to enable you to do things that would not be possible with a team of 5 or whatever. The most important thing in all of this is to check your intentions behind why you're doing the thing that you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
So that for me is something I can't tell you if you're doing it the right way or the wrong way. That's the thing that we all have to do for ourselves. But I think you know it. I think you know the answer for yourself. And I know in a given moment, am I posting this thing on social media because I just love to share and it's like with a pure heart that I am trying to do this? Or am I sharing this because I really want people to notice me?
Right.
And I've not posted certain things because I just knew, all right, I'm not in the right headspace to be putting this out there.
Right. Right. Yeah. So essentially it's the why or the motivation, the intention behind it all.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And I can see that as, again, from a Christian perspective, am I doing this to glorify God or am I doing it to glorify myself?
Yeah.
Basically. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So what do you hope to accomplish with Secret Society of Success? If, what outcome would you love to see years down the road,
Yeah,
or
I would love
sooner.
to. I would love to see more people engaging in this conversation about what success actually looks like. Because the message we are hearing is it's fame, money, power, and I think that this book, for a group of people that have been exposed to the content so far, they're starting to think about it a little differently. And I want to continue getting in front of as many people as possible to just have us ask some different questions. But I also think another big win for me would be that, maybe these people who feel invisible, they're doing jobs that are not getting a whole lot of recognition or credit. I hope that those people feel just seen and valued. I think about my wife and all of the work that she does taking care of our two kids. I mean, taking care of a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old she works way harder than I do. I'll tell you that.
That's a lot of
You
work.
and I are having a good time right now. She's probably not having this like stress-free, great conversation, And so when I think about even her, I just want her to see the positive impact and difference that she is making in the world by showing up as a great mom. And I heard Andy Stanley say once, your greatest contribution may not be something you do, but in someone you raise. And so I hope that people start to think about success and impact, maybe as one life at a time. Maybe you don't have to have tens of thousands of subscribers on a YouTube channel or a massive social media following or a company with thousands of customers to be successful. Maybe we can start to think about the impact that we're making, us bringing our gifts and our talents and abilities to help somebody else and focus on one life at a time. What if that was successful? And maybe that impact will accumulate over time, but I don't know if our motivation needs to be this massive splash, but just get a little bit better every day, help another person out today, And I think if we can start to look at our lives a little bit more like this, I don't know what can happen, but I like the trajectory of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man, so needed today. Yeah, if we can put all the differences aside and make those little recognitions here and there, man, I'm sure it would make a huge difference in our world. So definitely appreciate that. Now you have a background in Apple, Tom's, Story Brand, and Story, and Business Made Simple, which I love. Still part of Business Made Simple. What are you doing these days?
Yeah. So I just in August of this year, I had a relationship with a guy named David Novak, and David's the former CEO of Yum Brands, so KFC, Taco Bell, and Pizza Hut. And David grew Yum Brands from $4 billion to $32 billion by creating a culture of recognition where everyone counted and they felt valued and recognized for what they did, within the company.
Wow.
And so David leaves Yum and starts a nonprofit. And this is after he had retired, from Yum. So he starts a nonprofit called David Novak Leadership. And the mission is make the world a better place by developing better leaders at every stage of life. So there's programs for elementary school, middle and high school, college age, and even to the professional stuff. So David, this summer, asked me, hey, would you consider being CEO of David Novak Leadership? And I'm like, of course. I don't need all the details. I'm in. Let's figure this out. And so what's pretty neat about it is how aligned what it is that we are talking about at David Novak Leadership and, what it looks like to live in the way of the secret society. These things are very similar. And so I'm now running a nonprofit while I'm also, speaking and, writing books and things, to try to make an impact in the world, in this little opportunity that we have to reach these people. So I'm super grateful for the opportunity. And when I think about what I want my life to look like several years from now, I actually would love to be in this exact same position where I'm writing books and speaking and doing all that, and also leading this organization where we can just continue to make a positive difference in the lives of people. So it's been I'm like a month in at this point, but it's been a blast, and getting to spend time with David is remarkable. And we have this podcast called How Leaders Lead, and have the guest list is insane. We have an episode with Peyton Manning coming out in a month. We're going to be interviewing Brian Cornell, the CEO of Target. We've interviewed the former CEO of IBM, Ginny Rometty, and Indra Nooyi, the former CEO of PepsiCo. So I'm just really wanting to steward the opportunity well. And as I think about what it looks like to live in the way of the secret society, like if there is one thing, it's a common denominator in all of these people I've been really inspired by: helping others win. And I think if all of us can show up today and leverage all it is that we have to bring to the table, and our focus is around helping other people, I just don't think you can go wrong. And, if there's been a North Star for me as I wrote this book, but also, really guiding principle for me as I navigate my life, it's this quote by Albert Schweitzer. And he says, "I don't know what your destiny will be. Some of you will perhaps occupy remarkable positions. Perhaps some of you will become famous by your pens or as artists. But I know one thing: the only ones among you who will be really happy are those who have sought and found how to serve." And I think if we all just show up like that, that's success to me, for sure.
Tim, thank you so much for taking the time. Is there any hope for an actual secret society where we can have a handshake and T-shirts and that sort of thing, or no?
There's totally the possibility. Yeah, I
we
think
can
you
get
just
together
make it
at
up and I'm in.
KFC,
Sounds great. Yeah.
Right. Nice. Yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate the book. It is my top book of 2022. I've been pushing it out there and really enjoyed it. It's been great getting to talk to you, and I love your vision of life, and man, wish you a lot of good wishes at David Novak. So
yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you. You've been so kind. I loved your videos that you posted about the book, and it's just been really fun to get a chance now to talk to you like this. So thanks for you also carving out time to make it happen.
Yeah, my pleasure. All right, thanks, Tim.
Hey guys, thank you so much for checking out this interview with Tim Schurrer. If you enjoyed it, check out this next video, which is based on concepts that I learned from Tim's book, The Secret Society of Success. And if you want to read The Secret Society of Success, which you definitely should, the link is in the description below. Pick it up.